up at night. Feel the vibe, get ready to ignite. Untold stories in the airways, flying through the night. Experience voices, tales so bold. Streaming live, the truth unfolds. Untold Radio Network, where secrets come alive. New episodes daily, the mysteries thrive. Great guests, super chat, so I remember right. Share and subscribe, join the side where truth can't hide. Aliens in the attic, UFOs in the sky. Cryptids lurking, oh my, oh my. Ghosts in the hallway, whispering your name. The paranormal, the unexplained. Become a VIP, get the inside scoop. Unlock the mysteries, be part of the group. Live streaming stories, they're talking to you. Super chats buzzing, join the crew. Untold Radio Network, where secrets come alive. New episodes daily, the mysteries thrive. Great guests, super chat, it's a wild member ride. Share and subscribe, join the side where truth can hide. So if you've got the guts and you want to explore, tune into the untold, it's what you're looking for. From aliens to ghosts and all that's unseen. Untold Radio Network, where the world's mysteries convene.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the second episode of the Paranormal Spectrum. I am your host, Barnaby, and we are live here on the Untold Radio Network this morning. So thank you all for joining us on this brand new show here. Because it is a brand new show, guys, please like and share this. Share the live stream so that more people, all of your friends and family and enemies and coworkers and everybody can find out about us and tune in for themselves. So make sure you share this out, guys. All right. Coming up, guys, for Cryptids, Anomalies, in the Paranormal Society this weekend, myself and Ma from the team are going to be at the Brainerd Psychic and Wellness Fair, April 12th through the 14th in Baxter, Minnesota. Today's the last day you get to hear me talk about this. So myself and Ma are doing a brand new presentation at 10 a.m. on Saturday, and I will be doing a all cryptids presentation on Sunday at 3. So you guys got that to look forward to coming up this weekend. May 18th, we are going to be at the Rhinelander Hodag Heritage Festival in Rhinelander, Wisconsin. And then May 31st and June 1st, we are going to be at the Marinette Menominee Bigfoot and Paranormal Convention in Marinette, Wisconsin. Tickets are available now, $15 in advance or $20 at the door if you're into Bigfoot and other things like that. Bigfoot hike on May 31st. Come out and check that out. Myself and Rich Daniels will be leading it. Tickets are still available for that. And then June 8th, we are going to be at the Chicago Paranormal Convention in Chicago. It's going to be in Countryside, Illinois. at the Countryside Conference Center. Admission is only $1, and there's a lot of cool speakers going to be at that event. It's going to be a great time. And speaking of a great time, my guest today is absolutely phenomenal, and I am looking forward to getting into it with him. And he has written a AI intro for himself and the show today, so we are going to do that. Welcome back to the Paranormal Spectrum, where we illuminate the enigmatic corners of the spiritual world. I am your host, Barnaby Jones, and on today's very special guest joining us, the esteemed Aaron G Thompson, co-star of Netflix 28 Days Haunted and raised in the mysterious Quad Cities on the Illinois-Iowa border. Aaron's lifelong fascination with the paranormal has led him to an extraordinary journey of discovery. Since 1999, Aaron has been tirelessly researching and collecting data on the phenomenon that transcends the realms of our understanding. His passion for ghost hunting and his unwavering dedication to unraveling the mysteries of the afterlife have earned him respect and admiration within the paranormal community. But Aaron's expertise doesn't stop there. With his innate gift for public speaking, he has become a beacon of knowledge, sharing his insights and experiences with fellow enthusiasts and communities fascinated by the supernatural. Join us as we delve into the paranormal spectrum with Aaron G Thompson. From his early encounters to his latest discoveries, we'll explore the uncharted territories of the unknown and uncover the secrets that lie beyond. So sit back, open your mind, and prepare to embark on a journey like no other, right here on the Paranormal Spectrum. And now joining me is Aaron G Thompson. Welcome to the show, man.
You gave it away that it's AI. They're taking over the world.
You told me I had to read it.
I know. Well, no, you'd have to say AI. They're going to say that you were like mastermind. Well, everyone knows everything's AI anyways. I'm technically AI. I couldn't make it today. But
yeah, that's unfortunate.
Yeah, I know, right? Almost. Well, no, of course, Barnaby's phenomenal at reminding people and guests, and with all of us having crazy lives. I'm in the middle of caring with my partner Kat, caring for our cat Socks, who's going through some sinus scenarios. So I was just back from the gym before that, getting medicine. I was actually preparing to get some medicine into the cat, but we can push off and wait for some answers back before I do that. So yeah, so the world, this is disheveled me. Which is pretty much all me all the time. Thank you for having me on the show, by the way. This is awesome.
I appreciate it, man. This is like I said at the beginning, this is my second show of this brand new series. And I wanted to delve into all things paranormal and UFOs and everything that is not scaly and cryptid on my other show. So you were one of the first people I wanted to reach out to and have on because back a couple months ago, we were at a convention together in North Carolina.
It's almost a year ago now. I think it was. Yeah. Gosh, time flies. A lot of fun.
Absolutely.
Yes. And, I remember this. I'm glad you brought it up.
Yeah. I had you on my other podcast at the time, and we had a little short interview at the booth and stuff and talked about this. And ever since that time, you had talked about something that you were working on. And it's been absolutely like digging at the back of my mind. So now that I have this whole amount of time in this show to share with the world and everything here in this big platform, I absolutely want to hear more about it. I want to know every little detail. So if you don't remember, hopefully you do, but you were talking about this thing that was created in a jar.
Yes.
Awesome.
My pet monster in a jar.
That's right. So if we could start at the beginning of that And because I think everybody already knows about 28 Days Haunted, and you've been on there, and I mean, I'm sure you talk about that on every show that you're on, right? So
Mention
I
it.
want to hear about this. So can you tell everybody the origin of that, how it started, and what you've been doing with it?
So first up, I gotta address my ADD. Something that you said earlier, you're gonna be at the Chicago con, but I like how you said it because you're like in Chicago, and it's like yes, yes. I don't know, just in my brain, yeah. Um, so yes, okay. We're always pushing the well. Okay, correction. We should be pushing the boundaries of what we understand, what we're comfortable with, in all aspects of the paranormal. Um, the if you're on xenomorphs or ufology or whatever you want to call it, if you want to go, cryptids, cryptozoology, there's this push, and of course it's no different than, and I don't even know what we're called officially. We call peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. I don't know. It doesn't matter. We keep labeling ourselves and acting really pretentious in some categories. But it's like, what are you doing? You're just collecting EVP. I understand EVP is valid and it's exciting, but what are we doing to push? Can we do anything to push? Um, there's spirit box. There's all sorts of stuff. I call myself afterlife researcher because in essence, that's what I'm doing. So I want to stay true to that titling if we're going to throw around a title. Um, but marketing wise, ghost hunter, ghost hunting. So my pet monster in a jar. It's an experiment that I'm still getting the space and the procedures to get. I've been wanting to start this bad boy since 2019, the end of 2019, and it's fascinating. It's fascinated me. The of course 2020 happened, and then repositioning and shuffling in life and so forth. But I do want to get the funds, the time, just everything to utilize and do this experiment because I keep wanting to do it in I guess a fashion that that respects the results, the potential results. And actually, it's kind of fascinating. I'm not sure if I showed you the image. Did I? Okay. Should have maybe. I'll show you the image after the show. You can do whatever you want with it. But so back in, and I want to say it was 1964. I could be a little wrong on my dates there. There's a group of scientists that were positioned to ultimately work with a Tesla coil and produce free electricity. That whole phenomenon or myth or whatever you want to call it, free electricity. It's not a myth. They actually proceeded with the Tesla coil, non-AC DC capabilities, and they had a fluorescent light bulb that they lit. It was fascinating. There's some interesting things in their notes, though, as they're note taking. They have this little, and mind you, these are scientists, right? These are top of their game type of scientists. Now, with doing this experiment, I've actually, I have, I guess, a bridge to the last living scientist on this project. So conversation with that individual and progression here soon to be announced or to be continued. But I've spoken with some of the scientists that are an advocate of this project, and so whenever he or the group they manifested this light bulb. The light bulb turned on. Again, no AC/DC capabilities. It lit up the room. Only for a few seconds though. So it wasn't like a quick thing. It wasn't something sustainable, but it was a start. The fascinating thing, and I guess this ADD, right? So the little note note pad or a little note that they made was it seems to have a conscious behavior. And I thought that was fascinating. These scientists that are saying this that aren't necessarily godly influence, aren't necessarily supernatural influence. It's science, and so that they have this long, uh, long, uh, I guess, research paper, and then you got these little notes. Seems to have a conscious behavior. Move on. I'm just, I'm like, let's talk about that. Um, whenever whenever the light produced or was produced, the little nebula, in a sense, I'll call it, in the middle of the, I'm sure there's an official name, so, but in the middle of the light bulb that lights up, um, it it looked like, well, okay, it looked like a nebula. Um, it looked like a galaxy, and that was interesting. So it's moving like you're seeing this tiny ass Milky Way just spinning. I mean, it's fascinating to kind of envision that. So they did it again, mind you, duplication, right? Science. They did it again. This time, to their surprise, it was a different nebula-like. I mean, it definitely was a nebula. It had the shape of what we would recognize as a galaxy out there, but it was clearly much smaller, and it was slightly different, because it builds up the way that it needed to do to produce that light moment. Well, then they did it again, and now this little nebula, this little galaxy, has this little, I call it floating sea monkey, this little entity, almost looks like your traditional ghost with a tail and a hood and two arms, but electric. And it formed next to it. And it seemed to not be lost. It seemed to understand that it was where it was. And then they produced, again, no nebula, just a slightly larger entity, and the entity kept coming back. Now, if you think about this, more of a godlier state or supernatural, so let's blow up this nebula into the size of nebulas that we're familiar with, and let's put that giant sea monkey now over that nebula that we know. We're talking huge. We're talking times, I don't know how much, a billion, trillion. I don't know. So it's large. It's ginormous, as the kids say, and it was fascinating for me to read and for me to see these experiments in the aspect that I was able to. So they did achieve free electricity. Spoiler alert: GE at the time, the CEO, and businesses, there's corruption in capitalism. We all know this is no surprise. Not going to be a conspiracy theorist, but the head of GE was concerned that it would take down business a little bit. So they went to mafia style, destroy the whole project. They didn't know what they found. They just knew that they're kind of getting closer than they thought. I guess they just wanted a busy project for some really smart people. I don't know. Give me a busy project. I would love that. But when they came in, we'll say the individual who sponsored this, he came in to shut it down. They just completed another duplication of this entity. So as he comes in to basically tell these people, hey, we're done with this, it's over. He walked in, he sees this, he freezes this, and mind you, it's in a light bulb. It shifted around almost like it had eyes, senses, and it saw him, and it knew his intent. There's nothing you can hide from this tiny little thing that's literally connected to everything, allegedly, supposedly, or whatever. So at that moment when it shifted, it broke the confinement around it. All the shards of glass, 100%, were sent into that guy who was going to shut down the project. And this is not a horror movie. This is what really happened. It's documented. It's something that could be duplicated, which is interesting because it's almost, again, like a My Pet Monster, because if you're a dick, it's going to know. So your intent has to be pure and good. And that's why it's not ever going to really work with free electricity, honestly, if we want to break it down that way, because we can't send that into the world of man because we are, you know, we are what we are. I think I would be fine. You would hopefully be fine. A lot of, you know, but yeah, but it's definitely something I want to experiment with, and I've spoken with uh, the guys who've done it, and I guess it's been attempted to be duplicated. Of course, why wouldn't it be, right? But they're not, like, scientists are a little nervous with the supernatural aspects, so they're not doing it to exact of what it was, and at least the majority of them, and that kind of concerns me. It brings questions on that practice. I know they're probably doing safety and all sorts of stuff that maybe lacked, but it was done, and I do plan on duplicating the environment, the experience, and everything, and seeing about getting that propelled again. And from there, I feel it's going to allow me to understand kind of the bigger picture, the flow, something what I refer to, the scientists refer to as the downward flowing ether, and I think it would have a lot of answers, even beyond ghost hunting per se.
So, what do you think actually happened there? A lot of people have experimented with Tesla coils and done different things, but what made that experiment different than anybody else just playing with a Tesla coil around a light bulb?
It goes back to intent. I truly think it is, and maybe this is my woo-woo speaking, right? It's intent. It's that I feel that after a while, so some of the scientists, they have higher intent, though they're scientists. A lot of the scientists we get nowadays are strictly going to do the bells and whistles, and there's nothing wrong with that. But if they're not putting in that mysterious space that's causing the thing, then why would it show up? It's again, it's not it wasn't a lost flicker of electricity. It understood. There's no language that it didn't understand. I mean, it was such a bizarre. They would speak to it, and it would seemingly respond appropriately, instantly. So it's fascinating. But again, they had that quick. It was not a long scenario. It was interesting though when it popped and broke the glass. It actually stayed out of the confinement for about 500 milliseconds, and to me, that's exciting because that's something that they didn't expect either. So it's different. It could be confined, but it's also within the world. Yeah, I think intent is a strong category. Of course, that's what I'll lead in with the experiments. You bring up a good point, though. What is when I sit down and finally get this started, I'll have to read all the research papers, of course, and see what people did, what they chose, how, temperature, all sorts of stuff, Bermuda pressure, and just, it's, yeah,
Science.
let's see. Science.
So when they're describing this thing in their notes and that, what makes it different from like the filament of a light bulb? Was it actually glowing, or what did the thing? I mean, you described what it looked like, but was it bright, or what did it look like?
Sorry, I lost my headphones.
Right. You are muted now. There you go.
Yes.
Nope. Still
Okay.
Oh, there you go. There we go.
Saying, okay, cool. So the question was, what did it look like?
Right.
Is that ultimately the question is?
Was it glowing? Like, like you're talking about, like they're trying to turn on a light bulb basically with free energy. So,
Right.
when anybody that's looked into a light bulb, you see the little glowing filament and stuff. So
Right.
was this thing glowing, or was it part of the filament, or what did it actually look like as far as that?
Over the filament. That's the word I was trying to think about before. So it took over the filament. but it quickly became free roaming, and that's probably why it wasn't able to hold. It's maybe one of the reasons why it wasn't able to hold for very long before it broke and went away on every test. So it yeah, it had the glow. It looked, I mean, it looked like an electric sea monkey. That's how I described it for years. It looks like an electric sea monkey. If you guys, I guess those who don't know who sea monkeys are, think of a tiny shrimp. It looked like a really tiny shrimp floating around, or I mean, yeah, it didn't matter about land or air or anything like that. It would go within its confinement appropriately. But yeah, glow to it. Again, it looked like a electric sea monkey. So you think electric, think of that glow, and that's probably the best way to describe it. It was bright, but it wasn't like, like the light that I'm using in front of me. It's not like, wasn't like that bright. But it did light up the bulb.
So do you think that what intent do you think that they put into this thing to start it from being, just this little galaxy and energy to being what you would call, some sort of intelligent life form? You're muted again. There you go.
So I talk about, still, I was about to say everything happens for a reason. And it's like, don't say anything. So it keeps muting me, the world. I've got to spill the beans. If someone can take this from me, I'm tired. They can more than happy run with it, please. But mind you, I'm still in a very small stage. I've been kind of hovering obsessively for the last 4 years, plus ish, something like that. And so mind you, the science back then, though they're scientists, they did, I believe, gather kind of I don't want to say the rejects of the science world, but they gathered the scientists who were open up to a more of a supernatural scenario. Mind you, they were pretty much grounded. I mean, they were trained and professional scientists, but in the back of their head, they understood. Actually, one was so nervous that they opened up a demon portal. So that there's that narrative floating around in their head. That means that there's some belief or some religious dialogue with that specific scientist. All it takes is one, and the group can kind of flock towards that mass scenario. But yeah, the scientists were very, I would almost say, cutting edge. Like, they understood that there could be this thing that they don't know. I mean, they're working for electricity, so that was already, and that's still an area of controversy. So they probably, or I mean, I'm just speaking, probably, because I don't know facts here, but they probably brought that intent with them in some aspect. And maybe it wasn't so loud in front, like that's what they're doing, but right when some consciousness behavior started happening with their experiments, then their mind, their meditation, their prayer game, their well-wish, their vibes, whatever we want to call them, they've altered. And then from there, and with them being very genuine, I mean, this intent's very genuine. They don't want what they got. They wanted free electricity. And I think that's a big key too. Aaron, this is a scientist actually by the name of Aaron Marigami. Hope I pronounced his last name correctly. Super cool guy. He's who I've been speaking with currently. And
it's funny because we were just rapping for hours, just kind of what could this be, and we had some pretty interesting discovery moments, and he actually used to I mean he's full-fledged scientist, doctor, but he was used for remote viewing when he was like 8 years old, military, and accurate, very accurate. There's stuff that they use, and again, this is me having a conversation, regurgitating. Not sure if I should have said that. That's probably why it keeps getting muted. But so and mind you, I understand all that, but I'm the ghost guy, right? I got to figure out what's going on, the afterlife guy. So I do feel that it has context and it's all connected in some aspect. But my hard hit is, how do I create a ghost in front of your face? How do I show this? What does this mean for the larger scheme of humanity? I mean, I'm convinced, but it's bigger than me. So I just keep plugging at it, and I think I have the capabilities to make this my pet monster in a jar, which is just the world ready for it? Probably not. But boy, would that be kind of cool to show on stage if it's safe? That'd be fun. Yeah. So I know I got a lot of experiments, and you're more than welcome. You're around. We're not too far, I don't think, from each other. If I get the lab moving, get you in there, and we'll do some stuff. Actually, I'm spoiler alert, so it's another fun scenario. So when you want something done, you do it yourself, including TV. So I'm gonna start my own, and again, it's gonna be what I can use. I'm not looking to make any money off it, honestly. This is the funny thing. I just want the best representation of what I'm doing with my research. And I want to make it entertaining. I want to make it what we want to see as viewers, because I understand what viewers want to see. They want to see data. They want to see the good investigative work. They want to see mind-blowing ideas and concepts, and they want to be entertained. So I can put that all together. I've been kind of working on a game plan last 6 months or so. So, yep, I'll be working with Kat on that, hopefully pulling some faces. But one of my big things is a narrative of doing the experiment, and it might take a year long or so to do a documentary, but it'll just take from that experiment and see what we can do. And I'll actually have 2 experiments rolling. So one, I'm a lot more confident that it'll pop in a year, in one aspect or the other, and the one that we're talking about now is it's the crab shot. It's gonna be frustrating, and it's gonna be a lot of work and a lot of dedication. So yeah, that's the documentary is pretty much just gonna be hard hitting ghost hunting in the form of Ghostbusters.
Awesome. All right, we have to take a really quick break here for station identification. Cool. And we'll be right back with Aaron G Thompson from 28 Days Haunted. If you guys have any questions, we are live today. Make sure that you share the show. It's a brand new show on the network, brand new time slot. So make sure you're sharing it, and make sure everybody knows about it. And we'll be right back.
Hangar One Publishing. Books that explore the unknown.
They're after my story.
Legends leap off the pages of our books.
You think you're the only one? They're under my heels too.
From UFOs to cryptids, Bigfoot and beyond.
Who's behind all this?
Hangar One Publishing, where every legend is revealed.
It's Hangar One Publishing. They're unraveling all of our mysteries.
Dive in, real videos, sights and sounds with our immersive book technology.
I guess our secrets are out now. But in the best possible way.
From Bigfoot tracks to galactic trails, we cover it all.
We should get out of here before it's too late. You're right, let's plan.
Escaping reality? Dive into ours. Hangar One Publishing, revealing the universe's best-kept secrets, one book at a time.
All right, guys, we are back here live on the Paranormal Spectrum. I'm your host, Barnaby Jones, and my guest today is Aaron G Thompson from 28 Days Haunted and so much else. I mean, so guys, if you guys have any questions throughout the show, make sure you get them in the comments section. We have a brand new, I can't think of what it's called.
Brand new shoe.
I'm so
Flavored ice cream.
I am so terrible at this. Super Chats
You are
member,
wonderful.
brand new. AAO is a
Yes.
brand new Super Chats member. So thank you so much for your support here on the Untold Radio Network. We really appreciate it. Jamie has a shout out for you. She says, I've been following Aaron's journey for years. Aaron is going to astound the field. The time he has put into research and experiments is commendable.
I love you. Yeah, she's been super, super supportive. So it's cool to see that.
Awesome. Very good. A couple other good mornings here, and that's all we got so far. But thank you guys for tuning in. Thanks for waking up with us here on the Untold Radio Network. And today we are live. So if you have any questions about 28 Days Haunted or paranormal experiments or Aaron in general, put them in the comments and we'll get to them. So, one of the things I wanted to talk to you about, and this is like one of the reasons I wanted to have you on specifically and everything, is you mentioned at the beginning of the show, or in the beginning here, that, you know, what are we doing in the paranormal field? Like, everybody goes out and we're so obsessed with getting EVPs or watching the REM pod light up, or, you know, all these blinking lights. And what is that getting us? What is that accomplishing for us? And so my question is what are your thoughts on this? You know, people go to all of these different, hotspot locations, and they spend a couple hours there. They get a couple EVPs or some evidence, and what is that accomplishing us to the field?
Well, we're a very ancestral group. If you haven't noticed, we like our data to be our data, and no one else gets our data because they won't understand our data. So you can call me Big Data. It's just the name of the game, which is unfortunate because the game's broken. I've done small bursts, and I can do this so much better, and I understand this. And time is important, and I think a lot of people don't want to put funds towards something because you got to think value. Like, what value is it, right? Someone else can go out and do ghost hunting, and all they're doing is feeding whatever narrative or what they want or their amusement, and they're moving on. Why do they want to give money to someone who thinks that they can, show them something alternatively, especially when it may break their values, and their values may be very religious oriented and man-made systems. And that's a huge hurt, or huge jab if someone challenges a bigger picture item like that. So it's easy if they just keep their data to themselves and have that narrative justify the path, because all things can be interpreted the way we want to interpret it, unless you have kind of a self-reflection and you're more self-aware, I feel is good. So ultimately, we should be sharing data. We should have a database. We should have some standard. Yeah, we should. We should have the ability to call someone an expert. And I'm not saying me by all means, but I am saying that we should be secure enough that we can do that and start forming something that could be more of a standard. And of course, I've said this before, and people are like, well, what standard are you thinking? And it's easier said, than done. I would say the standard of what is a ghost. Let's discuss that, right? Like, what is a ghost? Let's just break it down. What does EVP mean? Let's start using the right acronym for EVP. It's EVP, plural and singular. I think I make that joke every now and then. EVP is EVP is EVP. Let's start there. Let's start getting our verbiage correctly. Let's start saying data instead of evidence, because unfortunately we don't have evidence, or else we want to be in the point that we're in right now, in the pseudoscience, as the world typically calls us, in the more prestigious scientific areas. There is value in what we do, and I recognize that long ago. It's just interesting to see the TV shows come out and people, they almost desire that idea. When you think of professional ghost hunter, you think of, oh, he has to be on TV. You think of an expert. If there would be one to be called, there's someone who appeared on TV. I could tell you, right, no, that's not the case. I mean, I put in the time. I will be more than happy to have a conversation with someone and to go the distance. But I could tell you, TV folks are good at speaking, you know, and I have the privilege of you know, speaking well enough that it gets me places. And that's funny because, you know, nothing happens, everything happens for a reason. It took me a long time. I used to say coincidence, 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 until there was just a couple hard coincidence moments. Mathematically, it couldn't hit like that. I don't have $1 million from hitting the jackpot, you know, like it just doesn't do that. So I started tweaking that, and that's where intent became so strong of recent years. Because intent is your superpower once you recognize it, and that's how you can make your life desirable. But mind you, intent doesn't follow emotion. Intent just follows the flow of what needs to happen. So you may want this because it'll do so good for you. Well, you may get it in an aspect of not feel good. Like, I really want a baseball cap. All of a sudden, a car wreck happens in front of you, blood splatter. This guy wearing a hat flies on your head. Like, oh, I got a baseball cap. But boy, did I do a lot of damage to get that. So it's just it's a unique world. I really think that we're here, you know, to fill more of those emotional scenarios anyways. If we're talking paranormally and ghostly, I don't feel there's emotion with tied in with that. And I've got bigger talks that go on that, and that's really my narrative where that goes. But scientifically, we should be sharing data. We should be marking down data, and we're talking moon phases, pressure, temperature. I mean, those are simple things, and I do that periodically. I used to do it a lot better. My hard drive crashed. I had all my stuff on it, so I should have had a backup hard drive. That was fun. That's how 2020 started for me.
That's how it started.
Oh my God. And I tell you what, that should have been a cry moment, right? Because I was in the middle of editing a Velisca Axe Murder episode for Amazon Prime, and I don't know, I remember it crashed, and I looked at my computer. And this is after my divorce too, so mind you, divorce, my little girl's not, you know, in the same house with me anymore. I moved out of my house, sold that, so I'm in my lovely apartment, and it just crashes on me. And I remember just looking, just like laughing. I remember just looking at the screen, just laughing. I'm like, well, okay. And I just stood up, and I think I ran Uber that day. So I was like, well, I was making some money with the video, but not anymore. So let me see what I can do. Oh, fun times. But yeah. Anyways, data collecting, sharing, really breaking down what are things and taking away the emotional aspect, I think, would be an excellent start. We just need some type of fair organization, not the Ghost Club, fair organization that respects the growth and doesn't focus so much on and I'm making some beef on this because I love culture, I love history. Absolutely, that's one of the aspects of doing what I do, where I get enjoy. But true and tried, I'm an afterlife researcher. I care more about that data than the culture, than the overall environments, though they come together to provide data that's appropriate for me to do my research. So there's that. But we got to kind of put all that aside with the emotional ties and just look at the collective data and what it could possibly be. Without. So I'm trying to also remove skeptical from the narrative. I mean, I'm doing poorly at it, but I've been changing the word to logical. So are you logical? Because logical is less demeaning. Because when you say skeptical, it almost sounds demeaning. And it's like, look, I started off skeptical, but don't demean me because I'm still in the game. So I had to be skeptical or logical, right? I had to be logical starting off. I didn't want to jump on anyone else's narratives, and there wasn't enough data to say one thing or the other. There were just opinions, emotional beats. And I needed to figure it out on my own. And I feel like I've done a very long road so far. 25 years this year. So it's been straight investigating. It's been a lot. And a lot of it was for me at the beginning because it was for me. You know, a lot of my old pictures aren't selfies. They're pictures of cemeteries or of locations because I wasn't trying to be the next this and that. But yeah, I feel like I got a good foot forward, and I'm learning. I'm always learning. Trust me. Where I am today. I was 0 when I first started. Clearly, it took me about 3 years actively doing it, aggressively doing it, and researching it, interviewing people, and going to locations. About 3 years to say, okay, there's something here. So it took me that long, and I kept with it, even though I would be like, yeah, coincidence, or yeah, science is this way, yeah, you know. And so after that, I would go on for the next 7 years or so. I would go on an event, or not go on an event, but do an investigation, and I'll change the group dynamic up every time. I always bring logical people with me, such as IT or plumbers. You know, I didn't really believe in the woo-woo magic of a medium, but I did bring some mediums because who am I to say one way or the other? So I got to collect data, right? And it was impressive. It was impressive, and I want people to check me if I need to be checked, but opinions aren't really checking. You know, I need to see like what's the backstory of this check. You know, you're saying no ghosts, why? Debunk's not really a word. It always bothered me. Debunk or disprove, that's a joke. That's you could only prove the existence of something in science. It's a scientific term officially, and I've rolled by that, but I kind of dipped into the disprove world. Debunk, I don't know, there's a medium phase where I use the word sometimes, but I never felt good with it. I don't use it anymore. I mean, because we weren't there when the thing potentially happened. So now we just got to check our bases, 1, 2, 3. But we can do that if we had a standardization, something. I ain't afraid no ghosts.
Awesome. That is a roundabout ADD version of where we were going, and I love it.
Gosh,
yeah,
yes.
Very well said, though. I mean, very well said. Very well.
It was there.
We get there. We have a question here for you from our new Super Chats member. It says, "Hi, Aaron. Hi, Barnaby. Have you ever heard of the Hat Man? And if so, what can you tell us? What do you know about him?"
There's a Hat Man like every frickin' haunt. That's what I could tell you. And it goes to the intent. We manifest this Hat Man. I love the YMCA. It's such a neat place. It's close enough where I can do my research. And it was one of those gems, mind you, no coincidence. It was there. I built rapport with Lisa. I love her. She's awesome. I believe it's called the Haunted Roadhouse now. So it's just a cool, almost museum of a place. And there seems to be a Hat Man there. And we have some real life names for him, but I won't know. Hat Man. I believe Hat Man is also in Middle Iowa in some places. I want to say Edinburgh might have a Hat Man. Gosh, there's Hat Mans in a lot of places. So Hat Man, when you ever hear Hat Man, what do you think? You think of dread. You think of this almost demonic, maybe not quite, maybe still humanoid, but it's dread. It's Hat Man. It's, you know, it doesn't have a name. It's a man of mystery. So we bend towards dread. So it goes back to intent. Have I ever ran into a Hat Man? I mean, I've been in the buildings that that had said Hat Man. I've had eerie feelings, but I don't get those. I don't get a lot of negative stuff. I bring positive intent. It's very human of me, but I do that in a lot of our places, and I get good results and remove the fear. So once you remove the fear, you can actually investigate better. And if there is a Hat Man that presents himself numerous times, you can say, "Hey, Hat Man, let's sit down and talk. Quit being a douche," or whatever the case may be, without threats of, "Oh my gosh, she just pulled a invisible gun to your temple. Do you have a headache?" It's like, well, maybe, but let's talk about this. I'm still alive. Good question, though. The Hat Man really is a conversation in a lot of areas. I haven't done a lot of South or Southern locations. Curious if they have a Hat Man, or if I just walk into a place and be like, "So I've heard about the Hat Man," and just see where they go. It's almost like Crybaby Bridge. There's a Crybaby Bridge, I swear, if not in every county in every state. It originated from Texas. I believe it's Texas. 1936, there was a crash documented, and I believe it was Texas. I'm trying to think. It was one of those states. Yeah, ADD. So there was a terrible crash. It was a foggy evening, and I believe it was a field trip. The school bus, they were going over tracks. It literally stalled on the tracks in the fog, and it got hooked and hung there, and they didn't see the train coming for us. Too late. They couldn't get the message out that they needed help quick enough. And majority of the children died there. The local streets are all named after the death of the children. You see phantom hitchhikers there. If you put your car in neutral, supposedly children push your car across. It's all that's documented. That really did happen. The supernatural aspect, I'm not sure. That'd be interesting to actually check out. But you see that story in like every state. And that's actually, I believe that accident was the accident that has all the emergency vehicles, including buses, stop before the train track. I believe that was the one that was like, "Oh crap, we got to make sure," because now it's just like, dude, just keep going. But back in the day, that was not that happened. I hope I answered your question.
Well, there's more, so we're gonna get into this. We have a 2-more-part comment here from the same guy. He says, "This is back to the Hat Man. I have seen him before, and he is literally as black as the blackest black, and as thick and solid as the blackest tar. And I saw him in my house several times, and eventually just had to move. The Hat Man was in my house." Snatched me out of my own body, and I could see my body fall to the ground and literally was on fire all over shortly thereafter that I moved. Okay, so after he saw himself on fire, he moved. Okay.
Now, be careful with this, because what I'm seeing and what I've seen before is this is now intent and manifestation. So you're aware of this Hat Man as such a huge character. You're potentially, I'm going to even say, you're manifesting that Hat Man into that world. So I saw one apparition in my entire, moment of ghost hunting since 1999. It was a few years after, and it was my aha moment. That's like, oh shit, monsters exist. And it did look like black as of black. It moved like a flip book animation. It was like it was almost a Disney stage prop, like smoke moving into this mold of a body, a fisherman-shaped body. Had a hat, but it was fisherman. It looked fisherman, and actually matched some historical dialogue and folklore, which was what I needed. So that's a pretty fascinating description. I actually like that. I like hearing that matches my brain with that scenario. But again, it was so 3 people witnessed what I witnessed. 3 people. A minister who was logical, psychic who I was logical with, and myself, who I wasn't even sure if ghosts exist at this time. And we all 3 witnessed it. We all 3 witnessed it differently. I witnessed it as you described with Hat Man. the psychic witnessed that he was a psychic feeler. He witnessed it with his hands. So he actually felt this thing. So I witnessed him feeling the leg of this black thing in front of me. The details were eerie. And then the minister witnessed it as just a giant ball of black. And if you think of the culture there, that would be more demonic. The minister actually quit the ministry and went to the mountains for a few years. I'm not sure where she's at today. Hopefully she's well. I think they call that enlightenment, but we all witnessed it consciously differently. So if the Hat Man was around you, AO, if you see it in a group, it potentially could be a mass. Putting aside mass hallucination, no, we won't say that. But you could see it. It's legit. It's happening. The parties around you may witness different wiggles, unease, but with your conscious and you kind of interpret it the way that you're going to see it, I do feel we create our own monsters. That's I've seen in a lot of places. I do investigations at a mansion. It looks like a creepy old mansion, but it had no sign of anything haunted until I got there, and literally, I swear, I put in the Hat Man, if you know what I mean. So we create our own monsters. We do gotta be careful, but that's a big danger in our field because that's really real. I'm not saying that's fake. That can injure you. That can have mental, have physical repercussions. So that's the unfortunate danger of playing in our world.
Absolutely. On a related topic, I do want to point out I have one of the people on the Hat Man project will be on the show coming up in a couple weeks here. It's kind of farther out, but I do have one of the people that's on the actual Hat Man project who is collecting data and witness accounts and stuff. And they're, like you said, they're doing the data of all these things, trying to figure out how they manifest, why they're there, the different regional aspects of them. So definitely keep an eye on the show here and keep watching back, because we are going to have an entire show on the Hat Man coming up.
And think, and I hope, and I'm sure they are thinking of this thing consciously, because you said culture. If you even go to another culture and talk about rape, it's just a whole different beast. If you talk about, there's 36 different Eastern, Asian descent spirits. Most of them are based off of these high level emotions, the spirit of suicide, spirit of this, that. So it's a jinn, it's just it's very unique to go culture to culture and how it differs. But again, I do feel like it goes in a manifestation or intent, and maybe even pride of culture a little bit too. But yeah, fascinating. Yeah, collect data, do. I could be completely wrong. I tell people this all the time as well. I'm just going to be convicted enough until I'm not, until I switch. So, yeah, everyone's, it's a valuable world we live in. I truly think so. We just got to treat it the way we can. And for some odd reason, the researching of what happens next is what I dedicated myself to do.
Very cool. Now, I have watched 28 Days Haunted. I really enjoyed it. It was a good show, and the whole concept behind it was basically, like, now that we're getting into all this other stuff, is basically what you're talking about, is the fact of going into a location, researching it, getting that data, and not just going in for a night and, I heard a voice. Okay, cool. Move on to the next one. And that's so what we've been talking about. And it didn't even register to me. Like I got the whole point of the show and stuff, but there you go.
I would say don't. You got the ADD moments where they're catching up. And to kind of put in there, I would agree with you wholeheartedly. The only thing I would take away currently in the world that we live in, I'll take away the heavy producer and heavy network. I honestly think if a show like that's going to be done, it's going to be done with an independent filmmaker of sorts on either their own free for everyone website or at a convention or something, someone that has passion. We did all that stuff, mind you, on site. Just the presentation of what we did. I mean, they silenced me, but they told me when we were on site that how I'm speaking, they're afraid it's going to go over people's heads. I took that as a compliment. I'm like, oh, great, we're going to change. We're going to make history. No, they're not going to put me in because I'm talking crazy. And it's not that. I'm thankful for the project and the exposure, which is very valid. Everything happens for a reason. But for a scientific scenario, unfortunately, they took over 2,000 hours and smashed it to 3 hours. So that's a lot left on the table. And their narrative went specific to ways that were very entertaining. But there's some moments that I would have liked the world to see. Just it wouldn't happen, not that project. So, and even when I do the upcoming documentary, I do want to do with one documentary, whether it's between an hour, 3 hours, I don't know. But I don't want to take away. I guess I want to give it justice. If it's going to be almost like, something that I can go to bed with, in a sense. So, like in my days, with knowing that legacy piece is out there, type scenario.
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah, a lot of the people that I've talked to and stuff, people always say, well, paranormal is so fake, paranormal is terrible, and Bigfooting is fake and so terrible and stuff. Look at all the shows that are out there. They don't ever find anything, they don't do anything.
Right.
And you bring up that amazing point there again, that everybody that I've talked to that's on these shows, people don't realize that the show that you're watching is a narrative. Like you said, it is put out by the producer for entertainment. The people like yourself, like all the other people around these shows of Finding Bigfoot, where they don't find Bigfoot and all these other things, they're not doing what they would do if they were allowed to do it.
Exactly. And then we're talking funds, time's huge. Did you know people thought I didn't get paid for Netflix? They thought I just volunteered to be on the biggest network and leave my little girl for a month. Happily. Look, I love ghost hunting, I love the research, and I'll do some crazy stuff. I put myself in a bomb. That's maybe a story for another time. But yeah, it was good to fund what I was able to do after for a short time. And that's what it is. It's funding. You shouldn't be scared to ask for money for doing this. It's with lack of better words, it's like NASA. You got to bring in the funding, and I'm willing to have, again, scientists and more, academic folks around me. I don't have to be the star of the thing. I just am so obsessed with it that my brain has to kind of jump in there and do enough of the thing that my face happens to be on, more often than not. But really, I just want the research out.
Absolutely. I think that's the most important thing to take away from the TV shows, is it gives people an opportunity to glimpse into the world of what is out there. And then it's up to people like you to say, okay, I was on TV, I was on this show, and that didn't go the way I wanted, but I'm going to go out and do your documentary the way that it should be. But having been on that show, it gives you that popularity, that influence to say, oh, I'm a TV star. Look what it's really like. Look at what actual research is. Look at what, I'm doing out there. This is what you should be watching because I was on that show. You're now going to watch something that has substance and that actually matters.
Nick Simon, he said it years ago, and I think I see some of the memes floating around, and I'll probably make one up here soon of the same idea of a meme. But he said, it's like fishing. I don't know. We're just sitting in middle Iowa somewhere, and he goes, ghost hunting's like fishing. You just throw your line out there and you wait. And then, yeah, it is. It is like fishing.
Jamie has one comment here. She says, everyone needs to get behind the train of bringing 28 Days Haunted back for a season 2. We need more research done by guys like Aaron. Aaron, I know you probably have this question 100 times, and it's we just kind of covered this, but do you know anything about season 2? Are they going to do another season? People.
So I did hear some stuff, and Jamie, you're sweet. I do think it'll be good to have another opportunity, maybe another show or this to propel the research of the science more. And it is a good show, but we are close. We are close, everybody, for a season 2. We just need a little bit of push with the hashtag 28 days comeback. I'm doing it on the 28th of every month until we hear yay or nay from the site. I'm hoping to get the other talent on board with that. And if you see my stats from Facebook, the engagement and the desire to see season 2 from when I pushed that on the 28th of last month, it jumped. I mean, my exposure went, I think, almost 400,000 eyes were on me compared to, I think that was 8%, or I'm sorry, 8,000% higher than what it was the prior month in just that day, just that little pocket of days. So people want to see this. So I'm just gonna ask that you guys join in on the 28th, and let's show the studio that, hey, we do want to see season 2. There's a lot of story we can still tell, a lot of things we can still do. And if you really want to see drama, you probably have to put me with some of the more sensitive people, because I'll be like, actually, and that'll be exciting for everybody. No, a good group of people. We'll see what happens. But yes, it's close. I heard through the grapevine it's close. I don't know what close means, but I'm on the push if I could push.
Absolutely. Is there anything else people can do to help you along? I know, like, rewatching stuff, getting the numbers up on Netflix helps with that, and show your support.
Yeah, give the thumbs up on Netflix. Go, yeah, definitely rewatch that. Tag Mac Pictures. That's the production company. Mind you, Netflix doesn't produce their own stuff. There's production companies that produce something and sell it to the networks, such as Netflix, Discovery, and so forth. So production companies, when I say Mac Pictures, that was our producer. They produced the Ghosts of series, the world's largest ghost hunt show that was on a couple years ago. So they're in this world, and we had one of the producers from the original Ghost Hunters who was on this project with us. Really cool people. But so let Mac Pictures know that you want to see season 2. Just through hashtags for sharing, that stuff, engagement, that stuff helps. I definitely try my hardest to engage with everyone who replies or who does stuff. So keep tagging me. But yeah, engagement, that's gonna be the big thing. Rewatch, just get the word out. Don't let it die. If it dies, it's gone.
It's true.
But I'm not gone. I've been here too long.
And being not gone, Mr. Segway here, where are you going to be? You got any upcoming conventions you're talking at? You got any appearances, conferences? Where are you going to be at?
I'll be in, I believe it's Parkersburg. I'm going to get slapped. It's Blenner Haciet Hotel, the haunted Blenner Haciet Hotel in Parkersburg or Parkersville. It's in West Virginia. You guys just go to my page, AaronGThompson.com. It'll be on my calendar. I've been posting a little bit about it, but yeah, it's cool. So I was there last year, and I gotta say, out of all the conventions, last year was their first time they did it. So this is their second. That's how math works. It was the most well organized paranormal event I've ever been to, hands down. And I'm just excited to see, like, the room was packed. They had opened up the actual wall for me and Heather Taddy to speak. It was bonkers. It was wild. I'm just super stoked to get back there. And this year we have Dustin Perry. So we have awesome people. This is a cool place. So. And yeah, definitely recommend that. I got a couple other places I'll be updating on the calendar coming up, but yeah, that's next week. I'll be doing that. So West Virginia, I'm a Midwest boy, so I'm going all the way down there. Yeah, let's do this, guys. No excuse.
Awesome.
Goose is loose. I don't know what that means. I don't know. I
So
felt like
that's
that
all
needed to be said. Yeah, yeah.
all on your website, right?
Yes.
And your website is in the show notes for anybody interested. You can click on that right there. Otherwise, aarongthompson.com for anybody just listening to us. But it is in the show notes, along with, I think you have another link in there too that you sent me. So I don't remember what it was, but it's in there. So
don't click that link. No. Viruses all over.
Yeah, I don't know.
Computer possession.
All right, sir, man. It has been a bunch of fun, an absolute blast having you on the show today. Thank you so much.
I appreciate you asking, and yeah, I admire you. And I remember when we first ran to each other, I remember yelling out your name, and I think you had no clue. Well, maybe you knew a little bit who I was, but I was like, oh, the coolest name ever. But
I find it interesting. Yeah, like I did know who you were. Thank you very much.
I mean, I kind of got that, but yeah, I did expect.
Here I am, Wisconsin and stuff, and I have my own little caps, on YouTube and Paraflix and some little stuff. And here's this, big TV star that's super excited to meet me and runs over to me, and I'm like, what is going on here?
It's called respect, everyone. Wherever you are, respect. We're in the trenches.
Yep. It just shows you, all the people out there, they're just normal people, and for the most part, there's some awesome people in the field, and Aaron, you are definitely one of them. So thank you so much.
I appreciate that. It means a lot. Thank you. Cool.
Absolutely. All right, man. Well, hang around. We will talk after the show if you'd like, and I will talk to you later. Thanks for coming on.
Peace, guys. Have a good one. Thank you.
All right, guys, that is our show for today on the Paranormal Spectrum. Thank you so much for tuning in, getting up. If it's early, if it's late, wherever you are watching and listening, make sure you share and subscribe, and head on over to the Untold Radio Network to get all that. Coming up, guys, next week on the Paranormal Spectrum, Thursdays, 10 a.m. Central Time, my guest is Austin Maynard. He is going to be coming on talking about all kinds of ITC tech and fun stuff. And if you're into Bigfoot and cryptids and stuff, Monsters on the Edge on Monday at noon Central Time, my guest is going to be Andy McGrath, and he is going to be talking about the beasts of Berlin and all kinds of cool creatures from overseas, or on your side of the pond, depending on where you live. But so that is our shows for Monday and Thursday. So guys, thank you so much for watching. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for being a Super Chats member and commenting on that. And until next time, guys, remember, we are all part of the Paranormal Spectrum. See you later, guys.
You seem to know something.